Have you ever pondered the profound questions of justice and faith that the prophet Habakkuk wrestled with in his book? Welcome to an exploration of the book of Habakkuk, where we'll navigate its verses and unravel its messages. Dive into the first chapter of Habakkuk. It begins with Habakkuk's complaint. The prophet is distressed by the injustice and violence he sees around him. He questions God, "How long, O Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen?" A question that resonates with many of us today, doesn't it? God's response is surprising. He tells Habakkuk that he will raise up the Babylonians, a ruthless and impetuous people, to punish Judah for their sins. This reply shocks Habakkuk, who finds it hard to understand why a holy God would use a wicked nation to punish his own people. Moving on to the second chapter, God tells Habakkuk to write down his vision clearly. God explains that the Babylonians will also be judged for their sins. He describes 5 woes that will befall them, for their greed, injustice, bloodshed, deceit, and idolatry. It's here we are introduced to a key verse. The righteous person will live by his faithfulness. Finally, in the third chapter, Habakkuk offers a prayer of awe and reverence. He acknowledges God's sovereignty and justice, and expresses his trust in God's plan. He concludes with a song of faith and joy, saying, "Yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will be joyful in God my Savior." So, what can we glean from the book of Habakkuk? Firstly, Habakkuk teaches us that it's okay to question God, to not understand his ways. God doesn't rebuke Habakkuk for his questions. Instead, he answers him, showing us that God is open to our doubts and struggles. Secondly, the book highlights the importance of faith. Despite not understanding God's plan, Habakkuk chooses to trust in God's wisdom and justice. The righteous person will live by his faithfulness, Habakkuk tells us. This serves as a reminder that faith isn't just about believing in God, but also trusting in his plan. Lastly, Habakkuk shows us that joy isn't dependent on our circumstances. Even in the midst of trouble and uncertainty, Habakkuk chooses joy. He finds his joy in God, his Savior. This teaches us that true joy comes from a relationship with God, not from our external circumstances. In essence, the book of Habakkuk is a journey from questioning to trusting, from doubt to faith, and from despair to joy. It's a journey that many of us can relate to and learn from. It's a timeless book that continues to speak to us today, reminding us of the importance of faith, trust, and joy in God. This indeed is the profound wisdom of Habakkuk.